With News in 5, I am Clifton James. Cuban Americans rallied outside Versailles restaurant on Wednesday night to mark International Human Rights Day with a protest against the Cuban government. Dozens of demonstrators filled the restaurant's patio, banging pots and chanting Libertad as they called attention to what they describe as a lack of basic rights on the island. The protest comes as Cubans on the island face worsening conditions, including power outages lasting up to 20 hours. The government blames fuel shortages and aging infrastructure, while critics point to the country's communist system. The Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines police force has arrested and charged with murder Joel Hepburn, a 35-year-old carpenter of Baera, in connection with the death of Miss Lydia Adams, a 36-year-old resident of Keratons, Baroali. Mrs. Adams was the subject of a missing persons bulletin issued by police after she was reported missing earlier this year. Following extensive investigations conducted by detectives assigned to the Major Crimes Unit, the offence was determined to have occurred on an unknown date between November the 8th and November the 25th, 2025, within the state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Investigators gathered sufficient circumstantial evidence to prefer the charge against Hepburn. He was formally arrested and charged on Wednesday, December the 10th, 2025, for causing the death of Miss Adams by an unlawful act. Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel Peace laureate Maria Corina Machado has declared that authorities in her home country would have attempted everything possible to prevent her journey to Norway after she emerged publicly for the first time in nearly a year. Machado greeted supporters from an Oslo hotel balcony in the early hours of Thursday, following a high-risk exit from Venezuela, where she had been in hiding since January. The journey, which purportedly included navigating 10 military checkpoints and crossing the Caribbean by fishing vessel, brought her to the Norwegian capital to collect her Nobel Peace Prize. During a news conference at Norway's parliament, the 58-year-old right-wing opposition figure delivered a sharp criticism of President Nicolas Maduro's administration, asserting that the government deploys national resources to suppress its population. When questioned about an oil tanker seized by Washington on Wednesday, she argued this demonstrated how the regime operates. Asked whether she would support a United States invasion, Machado claimed Venezuela already had been invaded by Russian and Iranian agents alongside drug cartels. This has turned Venezuela into the criminal hub of the Americas, she said. At least 34 people have died and dozens more are injured after airstrikes from Myanmar's military hit a hospital in the country's west on Wednesday night, according to ground sources. The hospital is located in Mrauk town in Rakhine State, an area controlled by the Arakan Army, one of the strongest ethnic armies fighting the country's military regime. Thousands have died and millions have been displaced since the military seized power in a coup in 2021 and triggered a civil war. In recent months, the military has intensified airstrikes to take back territory from ethnic armies. It has also deployed paragliders to drop bombs on its enemies. The Myanmar military has not commented on the strikes, which come as the country prepares to vote later this month in its first election since the coup. 500,000 flee as deadly Cambodia-Thailand border clashes escalate. The deadly fighting has continued along the disputed border of Cambodia and Thailand as more than 500,000 people sheltered in evacuation centres. At least 20 people have been killed and almost 200 injured in clashes that began on Sunday. Cambodia's defence ministry said Thailand had launched further airstrikes on Thursday, accusing its neighbour of violating international laws by using all kinds of heavy weapons and deploying large number of troops to encroach the Cambodian territory. The Thai army said Cambodia launched an attack on Wednesday night with artillery and mortars against Thai positions, prompting it to respond with the same kind of heavy weapons and causing damage, including the destruction of enemy trucks. This week's clashes are the deadliest since 5 days of fighting in July that killed dozens before Trump helped broker a ceasefire, using the threat of tariffs to apply pressure on both sides. Cambodia and Thailand each accused the other of violating the peace deal. In Washington, Trump told reporters he was due to call the leaders of Thailand and Cambodia on Thursday and predicted he could settle the hostilities, in his words, pretty quickly. You're up to date with News in 5. I am Clifton James.
Audio Jungle.